still remember what it felt like to arrive in Miami. It was 1993, I was 8 years old, and everything seemed crisper. The trees were greener, the houses looked freshly painted, and I think it even smelled like that new car scent. Moving for me was not a big deal. I thought Ecuador was a big country, and Miami was just another city in it. The combination that I had of a very curious child, I was very stubborn as well, and my personality that I dove into things and put so much passion into everything that I did led me to be a great student. I benefited from great public education, and when I graduated from high school, I did have my troubles not being able to go to college, but I achieved that. And after 6 years, 3 degrees, and a bachelor's in special education, I was so stoked. And I had the superintendents of schools come up to me and say, "Gabby, I would love to hire you, but I can't. You don't have papers, and there's nothing I could do with that." That was my harsh reality. The space between what I felt in my heart and what I knew was true were two drastically different realities. And even though I felt it in my heart that I was American, that wasn't the reality. I was an undocumented American, but I wasn't alone. Actually, there's 11 million undocumented Americans in this nation. 2.1 million of them are young people like myself. And so naturally, what I did was I dove right into the politics. I became an immigrant rights and educational rights activist and started working and fighting for immigration reform and the DREAM Act. A couple of years after that, and teaching people how to tell their stories, 2 friends said, "Enough, we're tired. Nothing is happening. Why don't we do something crazy? Why don't we take our struggles to the streets? And why don't we take our struggles to the one president, the one person, the president, the one that told us that he was going to bring about change?" And so there we were deciding that we were going to take this 1,500-mile walk from Miami to Washington, D.C. And so we walked, and it was 6 days a week that we would walk. It was 8 hours a day. It was 18 miles. And along the way, along this journey that we embarked, we came across some things that I never wanted and thought that I would ever get to see. In Nahunta, Georgia, we came across a sea of white robes. That's right, the KKK. Here was history repeating itself. Here, men stood on these stages and they called us rats, and they said Mexican women were prostitutes. And as hard as it was to hear those words, and as hard as it was to see children being robed in those white robes, we knew that we need to continue to walk. We knew that we needed to do it because we loved this nation so much that we decided that we were not going to give up. It was also in Georgia where we stopped at a gas station to use the restroom, and we never took an opportunity to stop and tell our stories. That was what we wanted to do, every step of the way, tell our stories. And so the attendant was there listening, and there was a woman in the line, this African-American woman, that as she listened, she nodded. And she agreed, and even though it wasn't her struggle, she could understand and relate to what was happening. As we left the gas station, she ran after us, and she opened her purse, took out $3, she looked at them, and handed one of the dollars to one of the walkers. And she said, "I want to thank you. This is all I have, but I want you to know that I believe in what you're doing, and I also want you to know that I am sorry. I'm sorry because I let the media tell me something so different about immigrants. And I want you to know that I believe in you. Keep going." That human compassion was way bigger than what we saw with the KKK. And so on May 1st, we made it to DC. we had all these young people come from as far as California join us in our last 6 miles of our walk. And as we got closer and closer to the White House, when we got in front of it, in front of the gates of the White House, we took off our shoes, and as a symbolic gesture of all those millions of steps that we had taken for the love of our country, we placed them in front and gave them to the president. In 2010, I think we never know the profound changes of the work that we do. I think activism or activists don't even get to see it. And in 2010, we started to see some of that organizing that started happening. We started seeing young people believing in themselves and knowing that their stories were powerful. And in 2010, it was young people that moved Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid to bring the DREAM Act to a vote. And yes, the Republicans filibustered it in the Senate and didn't pass, but it didn't matter. We were victorious. We knew that our stories, that our organizing, that the young people in this country had power to move 2 important people to bring that DREAM Act to a vote. In 2012, and throughout the whole time, we continued to fight and continue to move forward. And it was in 2012 that our activism, our organizing, our stories were able to move the president to do exactly what we had asked him during that walk, which was to stop the deportations of young people and to take that shadow of fear of us being deported by giving us temporary relief. And so on June 15th, we felt safe, but our struggle wasn't over. And on that day, on January 1st, 2010, when we decided to take that walk, we embarked on the journey. It was 4 young people that decided that it wasn't about us, but a whole entire generation. A generation of people that live in the 50 states, that live in your hometowns and in my hometowns. A generation of people that shop in the same stores that you shop at. A generation of people that write Pulitzer Prize-winning stories in your newspapers. We're a generation of people that went to school with your children, and a generation of people that are making change in this country. So we did that 4-month walk because we love this country and we wanted to honor it. We dream the same dreams that you dream, and we want big, amazing American lives. And that's why we did this walk. We are the youth of America, and we are the new American dream.